Hi, my name is Ellen Kinzer, and I'm in the Language and Gender class. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the concept of how women use language and the gender differences, and then I'm going to specifically focus on Robin Lakoff's language and a woman's place, and then the responses to it. So in 1975, a woman named Robin Lakoff wrote a book called Language and Woman's Place. It was an early feminist work on the differences between language use in different genders. Um, she focused on the language habits of middle American white women. So just so you know, the study does have a little bit of biases, and then I'm going to talk about the responses to her work. Her hypothesis was that there was a distinct language for women. It was a language used by women and a language about them. I'm going to focus on the language used by women the most. She gave several examples of language the qualities that women had. One of them is that women use hedges. And no, a hedge is not a bush that you try to hide behind to see what your neighbors are doing. Hedges are fillers, like phrases like well, kind of, and sort of. Women make statements less dogmatic and assertive by using these hedges. Here's an example of a hedge. I kind of disagree with that statement, or he's sort of not nice to me. Okay, so again, a woman is using these statements to make her statements less assertive. Another thing that women do is they use tag questions, like aren't you, or isn't it, or haven't we? An example of this is the company policy, isn't it? Again, it's lacking assertiveness, and as Lakoff says, it's so that a woman doesn't sound masculine. A third example of how women use language is that they apologize more when they're making statements. I'm sorry, but I think we should do it this way is an example. She calls that, again, a lack of assertiveness, because instead of coming right out and saying, I think we should do it this way, the woman is apologizing for her statement. The fourth thing that women do is they're approval seeking. They use approval seeking language by asking imperatives like, why don't you do it that way? Or use modal construction such as, shouldn't we turn up the heat? They use overly polite language such as, would you mind if I turned up the heat? These are just a few examples of how women use language differently than men. This type of interactional style is called the deference or deficit model. Deference means to give way, and in this case the woman is giving way to the man. The deficit means that women are at a disadvantage as language users. They present themselves with uncertainty and they lack assertiveness and confidence. It implies that language that women use is inferior or deficient. Men's language is the norm, and women have to try to match up to it, and they don't. Okay, so one response to this theory was called the difference model. The difference model was put forth by Deborah Tannen in her book, The Difference Model. She felt that it was a feminist celebration, that women's language should be praised and revalued as a culture. Another famous work was John Gray wrote a book called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. They both believed that the distinct conversational styles were equally valid. Some of the criticisms of the difference model is that it expects men, it follows stereotypes that men and women, it overgeneralizes, and it also fails to address the question of how men become men and how women become women, how they develop their gender identities. It also takes the pressure off of men to adapt and change to women. It's the women who are expected to just understand men better. As we continue on in the course, we'll learn more about post-structural structuralism, which is hard to say, put forth by Folkart, and he really addresses the issue of gender and how gender is developed and how gender identity is formed in someone. But for right now, we're just realizing that the concept of how women and men use language, the theories on it have evolved and changed over time, and they continue to do so. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you.